Cello everyone, Cello Doodle here, and today I'm going to be ranking the different Stardew Valley farms. Now this is going to be more my opinion, and you might have some different rankings for these farms. So if you do, let me know down in the comments below. First up is the Standard Farm. This one was originally the only farm type you could have, and it's honestly a solid farm. I personally love the amount of open space it has without many obstructions. There are 3,427 tillable tiles in this farm layout, which is the most out of any of the farm types that we have. The biggest moneymaker is your crop, so having the tillable tiles is extremely good for profits. This farm is perfect for beginners because there's no challenges involved with this farm. You can focus on learning the game and understanding the different aspects without having to deal with roadblocks. On the other hand, this farm has no challenges, which makes it a bit boring after a while, especially for experienced players. Generally, this is my default farm type, and I play this one the most, but having the challenge of the other farm types is a lot of fun and very rewarding if this isn't your first time playing. My second favorite is the Four Corners Farm. This farm is another solid farm and is broken into 4 different sections. This was done when multiplayer was added to the game, and this works out well because every person gets their own miniature farm. Despite it being broken up, there's a lot of clear space that makes it easy to put down buildings and sprinklers. The coolest part of this farm is that it pulls features from the other farm types. In each section of the farm, there's something a little bit different. One section has renewable hardwood stump, one has a small quarry, and one has this nice little pond. Unfortunately, the top section does not have anything special, but it does have the house and spouse area, which some people really like to have. Even when you're playing solo, this farm is great because you get the perks of the other farm types without the problems of those other farm types. All of the sections have about the same amount of farmable tiles, with the smallest area being at the bottom right with 619 tiles and the largest being 732 tiles in the top left. The entire farm has around 3,000 tiles, so it is a little smaller than the standard farm, but not by much. Overall, you could argue this is actually the best farm type, but I just have played the standard farm more, so that's my preference. But if I'm bored and I don't want too much of a challenge, this is my next default. Next up, we have the Forest Farm. Overall, this is another great farm, and I enjoy playing, and many people actually prefer this farm over the other 2 types I've already mentioned. I've seen multiple YouTubers use this one as their default farm that they always play on, so it is a great farm. So these top 3, honestly, you're not going to go wrong with any of them. It's just preference at this point. One of the main reasons that this one is so great is you get a renewable source of hardwood and forageables on the left side of your farm. This is great for near the end of the game because hardwood is extremely important and sometimes difficult to get enough of. If you want to see more info on hardwood, check out my guide in the description below. The forageables are great in the early game for some extra cash, a snack, or helping you complete that community center. This farm also has a decent amount of farmable land with 1,413 tiles, but it is not as much as some of the other farms. However, the amount of land you can build on is doubled, with there being 1,490 non-farmable tiles. This means you can still have a variety of buildings on it. You just need to be a little bit more strategic with your farm planning to make sure those buildings aren't on your precious farmland. Not all the area is farmable, and that really can actually leave some room for decorations while still having plenty of space for farming and your buildings. This farm does have more obstructions, so sprinklers are a little harder to place, but you can still easily fit in a lot without wasting different little tiles in the corners, like with some other farms. Next up, we have the Wilderness Farm. I'm honestly pretty indifferent to this one. Considering you can turn off the monsters as of 1.5, it is a solid farm that's pretty easy to play. There's a large pond in the bottom left corner that could be great for fishing, but there is a lot of trash that you can catch there, so just be warned. But you can also place some crab pots, which can be very useful considering you don't have to go all the way to the beach for them. It also has a really good amount of farming space that you can easily plant sprinklers on. When you add the monsters to the farm, it becomes less desirable in my opinion. One of the monsters that spawn is the wilderness golem, which can drop a variety of items such as fiber, mixed seeds, coal, rice shoots in the spring, earth crystal, diamonds, and the living hat. I am personally not the biggest fighter in Stardew Valley, so having to deal with monsters on the farm, not appealing at all. In the early game, this can be extra annoying because you do not get the sword until the 5th day of spring, so you really cannot be working on your farm after dark because you just have to run. This can really slow down your start and can make it frustrating to make progress that first spring. Making good progress that first spring can really set up your entire playthrough and make this farm very frustrating. Once you gain stronger weapons, monsters will become more of an annoyance than a threat. But in trying to avoid them, you can lose time each day on your farm. There are 2,131 farmable tiles, which is not as big as some of the other farms, but it's a good size still. There are an extra 444 tiles that you can build on, but not farm on. This farm, overall pretty decent. Isn't the best, but it's definitely not the worst. Up next is the farm that I have a love-hate relationship with, the beach farm. Some people absolutely despise this farm, which is understandable, but it has some perks. This farm is great if you want a challenge because all sandy areas can not have sprinklers. That's a problem. This makes farming much more difficult and forces you to try some other money-making schemes. This farm is actually one of the larger farms with 2,700 tiles where you can farm and 1,928 tiles that you can actually build on. But considering most of the tiles cannot have sprinklers, you'll be building on most of them anyways. Since this farm is so large, it can be super fun to decorate with if you love using all the different furniture items. There is an area that allows sprinklers, but it has hardwood logs on it, so it can take a while to get full access to that part of the farm, which can be pretty frustrating. This area is pretty small, but it's square, so the sprinklers can easily fit into the area. There are only 202 tiles in this area, so you need to make sure to use them wisely. The amount of sprinkler tiles can thankfully be increased once you gain access to the greenhouse and Ginger Island, but since that is late game, making money in the early game is a challenge. I've been playing on this farm as my second farm that I really focus on, the one that you guys see in my videos because this is my default. I mess around with farm. It's hard. I have not made much progress and I'm currently in winter, so yeah, it's hard. There are a variety of other money-making strategies you can use to help maximize profits, which can be as easy as selling the forageables you find, focusing on the fishing, and using animal products. Planting a lot of fruit trees is going to be your best bet if you want to farm, but avoid the mass amount of watering. This farm really forces you to explore other parts of the game that you don't normally use, which can actually be pretty nice if you're feeling burnt out. This is personally why I picked this one. I was getting bored with my standard farm, so I wanted something totally different, so I went to one of the hardest to play farms. Maybe not the best decision, but it's been fun, so not that bad. This farm does have some benefits to it though, which makes up for the lack of automation that you can do. There's a forested area in the beach farm that can actually spawn forageables, which is great for cash in the community center, just like the forest farm. On the beach farm, normal forageables can also spawn on the beach, which is great. So you can get those beach forageables that sometimes you have to walk far from. You can also get these little crates, so you can get seeds, food, geodes, bombs, and even different retaining soils. So overall, not the worst, but it certainly is not the best either. And some people actually hate this farm more than the other types, and actually would rank this as throw it in the trash can, I never want to see it again. But personally, I like the challenge. Now we move on to the farm that I'm not the biggest fan of, the Hilltop Farm. I have only played on this farm once, and at first I thought it was so cool, and then I realized it's crap. Your space is broken up by hills, which can make it almost impossible to fit in buildings easily. This makes it hard to have animals because even if you find a space for that building, they're going to be very restricted to where they can go and eat grass, which results in you needing to buy more hay, which can get expensive, and it's annoying because Marnie is never at her shop. There is a river running through the entire farm, which at first seems cool, but it's honestly so annoying. This river makes it hard to put sprinklers down as well as place buildings, so this farm ends up having so much wasted space. Overall, there are 1,648 tiles, which at first seems fine, but with how skinny all those areas are, it feels much less because you can't use them. They're just walkways that are just like 3 tiles wide. They're annoying. The only good thing about this farm is the quarry in the bottom left corner. This will generate new rocks every day that sometimes will contain ore and gems in them. What appears in this corner corresponds to what level you are in the mine, so don't expect to be getting some iridium ore or prismatic shards right away. This quarry also doesn't generate a ton of the ores and gems because there might only be 1 or 2 each day while the rest is just normal rocks. If you want a quarry, go to the Four Corners farm. The quarry is smaller, but it's better. Definitely least is my most hated farm, the Riverland Farm. I dislike this farm for similar reasons to the Hilltop Farm, but at least the Hilltop Farm has a quarry going for it. This one has nothing. The Riverland Farm consists of multiple little islands with a river around each of them and small bridges connecting them. This makes it kind of cool to look at, and at first glance it's like, oh, this is cool. Then it sucks. This makes it so there are multiple awkward little islands that you can farm on or put buildings on, but they're so small it's hard to fit a lot of sprinklers or buildings on there nicely. The farm has a small farming area compared to some of the other farms with only 1,578 tiles and 516 buildable tiles. Overall, this farm sucks. Unless you are only in your fishing save where you do nothing except fishing, because my friend and I have one of those, then it's great. But honestly, you can just go to the town to get those river fish or any of the other spots. It does not take that long to walk. So, my final verdict, I don't like this farm. Thank you so much for tuning in my channel, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the rest of my channel for more Stardew related videos, and I will see you all next time. Bye!